Okay, so today we're going to put the roof up. I should say ceiling. Roof is on the outside. We finished that already. Now we're going to do the inside. What we have for the inside is a beam that actually has ton and groove on it. So basically, and we have to be careful because one side has a pattern, one side doesn't. To make sure the pattern is what we see. So we're going to start against the corner with the groove. We put it where we want to put it, and since it's only putting up ceiling panels, it's not holding anything up, we're going to use our gun to hold it up. All we got to do is run all these together. There's only one problem. Did you by chance notice where this one ends? It ends right here. So let's get the next one. So if I take the next one and I put right next to this one, I am short exactly 1 inch. I don't know if you remember, but when we put up these beams, we got an extra inch because we were 16 foot plus 1 inch. These are not the same company. They actually measured them right. So these are 16 foot done. So now I got to decide what I'm going to do with that 1 inch. I run them all the way down, and I run them all the way down, and I put something in the middle over top of that space. That's definitely the easiest way. They come to both ends, you put the end pieces on, everything's good. You put something down the middle, another end piece. Is anybody going to notice it? No. I think that's what I'm going to do. So right in the middle, right here, we're going to have a 1x3 that runs right up the middle. And that's going to be our seam. And our seam is going to be covered. The other way of doing it is to put this to this beam, cut it off, put the next one from here to that beam, cut it off, and do little pieces and have little seams all over the place and have the seam change as it goes back. That is the professional way of doing it. But again, this is a porch. This is not a professional structure. So since it is a porch, I'm going to put it up the easy way. So since I put one beam up, now I make sure my seam is, my pattern is out like it's supposed to be. This now fits into the first beam. Push it back. Push it all the way in. Make sure it's level and even with the edge, because that's what we're going to level. That side doesn't have to be right because we're not going to be seeing that end. We do see this end though. Put it all the way in. And put a nail right across, holding it up. I would never think, see now this beam even though this end is completely flat, this one comes over 1/4 of an inch. So no, these are not all the same. They're all different. Now if you remember the last video, I said we're putting lights up here. We're still putting lights up here. But I gotta get something to drill my light holes in before I can put my lights up. So we're gonna put these across here and get a barrier. 6 of them just like this. Pull them off. Pull off. That should be enough for me to be able to get in here. So there's that side. And we're going to level it right to the end. That's where the beam's going to go across the very end. And that's that. I'm still getting the hang of this AV stuff, the new stuff. Yes, I got the cheaper stuff for this stuff, for the microphones. So the whole set of what I said to begin with, I don't know if you can hear it or not. I'll find out on the other, because I do have a second microphone. So if you suddenly can hear me loud, that's the reason why. Because the microphone was not working, and I'm talking practically to myself again. Really getting tired of talking to myself. Myself isn't exciting at times. And then one more, and both of these will be level. Using one at that end to hold it up. That way it's a pivot point, and I can push this way in. There. That's what my ceiling is going to look like. So now, since we know roughly 16 inches. So 3 of those are 16 inches. How far across is the whole roof? Ceiling. The whole ceiling is 77 inches. So how many of these do we need? So we take 77, divide by 16. Times 3 times 2. So I need 28. I believe I bought 17, so I'm not that far off. I bought 17 because that was a good number for me. So this video is about the ceiling. So we're now going to pause this video. We're going to go to the video on electrical. and come back to this video. Okay, so we're back to do some of the lights are in. If you haven't noticed, the first set of lights are in. So now we're back to doing more of the ceiling boards. So before I finish the roof, the ceiling, I wanted to test the lights. So they're all working. So they're all the same color, they're all working, so we're good. Next project, or actually next part of this project. What really is bad is because whenever I do projects like this, I usually have music playing. I can't have music playing because if I have music playing, they say that I'm advertising or I'm using copyrighted music. So I can't have music playing. So I'm completely kind of quiet, I guess you could say. With not a tune in the sky. Not a tune anywhere. So I found out what I do is I put one nail in the back. I don't put one in the front. And when I do the next board, I'll put one there and there. That's why I do 2 nails at a time, but they're not both in the same board. That gives me the ability of moving the board a hair, like right now, to get it to fit. Because straight lumber, not straight lumber. There. Making sure it's on the end, that's why I do the end first. I got to do a light right there. That's where I marked it. So now I got to do a light. So I've done lights on the other one. I haven't done on with this video. So as you're going across, when you get to a point where there has to be a light, because we have limited space for electrical, you have to put the light in before you finish the roof. So as soon as I get this old piece out of here, hook this up. Right here is where the barbecue is going to be. So right here I'm going to have a barbecue light, a light right here that shines onto the barbecue. So we're going to put the light about right here. And that is the barbecue light. We're going to pause here to do the light because this is not a electrical video. So I don't know if you're around for the first batch of these, but when I built the roof, the 2 end pieces were going to be crooked and the rest of them were going to be straight. So a little bit like that, you can watch the video number 1, actually number 2 for the roof, and you could see the reason behind it. There was an actual reason behind it. It wasn't just done on purpose. So that little bit I did there has caused, of course, these to be crooked, and now this line to be kind of iffy going up. So I will probably end up having to cut this when I put that side on. My goal today is finishing this side. I have enough boards for it. I'm going to finish this side, leave that side for next time. So that's why I'm continuing on doing the boards on this side. I've already put my barbecue light in. That's successfully installed. The next light that goes in is going to be for this corner over here. Put one at that end because it's right. Then I can slowly push it in for the rest of them. Like that. And that's the goal. Not even be able to finish all the way to the end. And I'll have to count how many more of these we need to get. And I have to do a trip to Home Depot. Next visit to finish. Had it right and then moved it. By the way, the nails that I'm using to install this are the 1.5-inch nails. They go into my nail gun I bought ages ago. Haven't noticed it makes it a lot easier instead of using screws. I was going to get brass screws to put them in, and I got against that. That didn't get done. So I did not use brass screws. This one I'm going to leave on. So I'm going to cut it on this video instead of cutting it on the other video. I want to be the same. So now since it's closer to the corner and it's not purposeful for a barbecue, I need this to be the same distance as it is here. So we're looking at 6.5 inches. So I gotta go over 6.5 inches. It'll be right here. Right where that is, right there. So, make sure there's nothing above me, and I'm doing 6.5 inches. And I'm going to do it on the seam just like I did over there, so it all matches. So, moving the light box on myself. Clean it off. Light goes in. Swoosh up the little square, the little springy things. Push it in all the way, and we'll hook it up. And then we'll plug in the lights to make sure all the lights are working. This gives it a little crisscross. This one is pretty bright. Up, down one. That should lighten up this whole area. I'm wrong, I think. I might have just enough boards to finish this. Sometimes I'm happy that I'm wrong. Go. I'm gonna put one. No. I'm not going to put any in that. I don't know if I have to do something different to get this last one up. So I'm going to leave that open. So if I need to do something funky to do the last one, I have the space. Doesn't look like I'll have to. It's funny, when you put boards up like this, that's when you find all the little inconsistencies. Come on, move. Which don't seem to be that much right now. It's good. Okay, this part of the ceiling is done. That's it. So the ceiling's done. A lot more expensive than I thought because I was going to use cheap, thin cedar. Nobody had it, they're all out of it. So I'm using this now. Oh well. So what I added was I added the end piece. It goes right around the edge, all the way down. Have to cut off the very end, but you get the idea. Now it seals off the edge and gives you a finished roof. So now I repeat it at the other end. So now I got to put a light there. But it's not a round light. It's a long light. So now, in order to put the long light, so I don't ruin the boards, see, it's this. It's going that way. I got to cut a piece of wood to go here. Another piece of wood to go here. I got to take my board and put here and here, all level to this. So when I put my planks, it all is hidden behind there. So right now, I'm going to figure out where this light goes. Looks like for table purposes, best thing to do would be to put it about right here. So that means I put a plank there. My pin. Let's do this again. Put a plank here, put another one here. So now since I have my two spots, I can measure. This one is 20 1/4. This one is also 20 1/4. So that's going to give me my boards. Okay, so now it's time to put it up. I've cut everything. So I'm going to take my board and put level with this I'm going to have here. And I'm going to mark it. And that's going to give me a mark where I can put this board on top of the board I'm installing and still be level, because it has to be invisible, which means there's no bump and it's level. So now I have my 2 marks. So now I can take my 2 pieces of wood that I cut. Yes, I'm going to use my nail gun again, for the simple reason that this is not a structural aspect. I don't like nail guns on structural because I can pull apart. This is more of a cosmetic thing than it is a structural thing. So I'm going to put my piece of wood there, right at my lines. And I want to nail into, not away from. I didn't check it, I hope it's right. Let's see. Yep, hidden. There's my other piece of wood. Let's put that light up there. Where do I need to be? Need to be here. That means my other piece of wood can be out there somewhere. So we'll put that one right up here. Using the same lines. It's a little bit stiff, so I can check to verify. Okay, verified. Now I'm going to take my nail gun and nail a bunch of nails into it. Now they're not moving. So now, first piece I'm putting up is going to be here. Staying right there. Second piece I'm putting up is strictly for support. So I don't have to cut another piece. I can just put it up. Before I do that, I want to drill this hole. Feel the wire. Got my wire going through that hole. There we go. That's all happy. Now, these lights turn in such a way, I have to look at them to make sure. I'm going to get the maximum of where the lights are. That doesn't really face where I want to be. Let's try it this way. There we go. So this is the way the lights are going to go. So if I was to bring this, I'll put this up here for now. Get it out of my way. It's annoying. Now I need it. So if I put this here, and I clap this in to this, where does my next piece have to be? So now I'm going to lift this piece up, and I'm going to clap this in using the little brackets to hold the light up on this side. And I'll be going from round piece to round piece, and the light will not be held up. Just like that. Of course, I drilled the hole so now I got the battery over. While I'm holding something that doesn't want to stay. Come on, now you don't come off. Okay. Push that in so it's straight. make sure I can take this down. And make sure I can put it up. So now I have a place for my boards to come on the other side to screw in, cut it off, cut this one off, and this has a nice place to stay. And now I can actually hook up the wires. That is the last light of the whole mix. So today is now the next day. I've picked up a whole pile of wood. You can see the wood sitting there. And now I'm going to continue to put my beams in. But before I put my beams in, I got to take down the awning I put at the end. Because the awning is in the way. Because, get out there. As you notice me doing so often, there's been a change in plans. As things progress, sometimes the plan you originally have ends up not being as good as the plan that you come up with. So if there's a new plan that's better, I run with it. So I'm now taking down this, keeping the screws for later. And on the other side, I put a beam all the way down the edge to finish the end. So what I'm doing on this side is I'm going to do the same beam again, but I'm going to do it first. That way I have a place to butt my wood into. So I don't have to hold one end and look at where it is. So it's going to allow me to butt the wood into the end here. Okay, so I have long nails right now. I don't want long nails. I don't need long nails for this little piece. But actually, it is an in piece out in the weather. So I think I'll keep the long nails on for it. So like before, we got to turn our gun on. Turn it to the right mode. Okay, I judge that is not going anywhere. And I judge it's pretty straight. Now, I take the big nails out and put the small nails in, because I can now commence putting up the ceiling. Now I have a push plate to push against. So when I put them in, I have some place to push up against. Remember that there is a pattern. Do not want to put it up and have the pattern go in the wrong direction. Now, since everything in this house outdoors is aged, there's nothing in this house outdoors that is supposedly new. So that being said, I noticed I have a piece here that has a crack in it. I'm not changing it. I'm going to keep it right where it is. Crack is not going to affect me. It's not going to come down. So I'm leaving it alone. Now right here is my junction box for the electrical. I'm going to leave that where it is. Because there's really nothing in it I'm going to have to access in any way, shape, or form at any time. So now I can push it all the way up against that side. Push it up against this side. And my cutting on this side is all done. Doing the same thing as I did before. Leaving one of the sides empty so it has a little bit of flex. And I will staple the last one I left empty, solid, when I put the next one in. Now I'm approaching two different points. First, I'm approaching the point now, since I got one end in and it's a little bit tricky, I'm going to put one staple here to keep that in straight. Then I'll go all the way to the other end and maneuver it in that way. There's my pot. Now the chair's in my way. Now, because of the design of this, I'm not doing something that you might want to do. I'm not butting these up. So it's giving me a leeway. Sooner or later, I'm going to have to start cutting them. I'm going to have to cut that side because the design of this has a beam going across the middle to separate the two of them. So because of the design, I don't have to cut this side. That's why it's having a space right there. If you want to know what the story is with this light, that is on the video before this. The installation of the light and how that got put in and why those beams are there. These are warped a little bit, I noticed. It's not that serious of a deal. Since they are tongue and groove. But it does become a hassle at times. Do the same as before. That side's in right. Almost. That side's in right. So I'm going to staple it to keep it in there. And then I can work my way down. Getting the rest of them in. Like that. And I can put the one on this side in. Okay. Next one is the first one on top of my light beam I put there. If all is well, it should just hide right under these like it doesn't even exist. Which is what it's doing. Now the cutting of the next one's going to be a little bit tricky. Because I got a mark here where my light comes up to, and mark here where my light comes up to, and I'll pull this down, put it on springs, and I can take this whole thing and hang over here out of the way. I know I got to cut a groove right there. So that's where this board's going to become interesting. I have a lot of leeway, so it doesn't have to be exact. So I can actually hold it here so I can mark how far over I gotta go. And put it over all the way and mark where I gotta go. So looking at this, I have 3 marks. First mark is here. Second mark is here. So I got to cut that groove out. Third marker's over here. So that's the groove I have to cut out. Let's cut that out. So okay, so the groove is now cut. Same as before. Put one in the end. And you have to be a little bit careful now because you have cut the wood. So if you bend it or move it too much or pound on it too much, what you're end up doing is you break off the end. So now it's all in place. After I put my normal nails down, my list, I'm going to come back here. I'm going to bolt that in, screw that in. And I'm going to hit one right here, which you're not going to see because it's under the beam. But it's going to give extra support for that. And now my little cut is there. If I do need to cut it a little bit more, now I have an opening so I can put my hacksaw up, to be honest, and go right across. I could do this two ways. I could do this two different ways. I could now put all my boards up, I have my hole, then hacksaw my piece when I put extra pieces, or I cut a piece for here, cut a piece for here, cut a piece for here, put the new board here, put the new board here, put the new board here. Which way do you think is faster? Hacksaw is faster because I can now put my beams together, hacksaw it out, so I can put my electric on this side, hacksaw this side, move all my stuff to this side, and hacksaw that side. So I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to continue putting my beams up, and I'm going to hacksaw the rest of it. I do have to nail around my hole I'm going to hacksaw before I hacksaw, otherwise it's going to wobble. So that's the plan we're going to do. Is we're going to hacksaw from there to there, that blue beat line to that corner. So now I'm going to continue putting my boards up as if nothing is different. All is well. Which you shouldn't see because it'll be under the rim of the light. Now I'm free to cut that. Okay, so the train came by. A little delay. So I'm going to use my saw to cut this. Here's the thing. The saw blade has to be very fine, so I don't want to ruin the wood. Do not use an old wood blade. This is a metal blade, which is best for this because you want to cut it. The smaller the blade, the little grooves on the end, the little bit it cuts off, and the better it's going to look. And it's not going to shatter my piece of wood. Second thing, this blade moves. So you have to put it out so it's out all the way. And you want to make absolutely sure that you can put this up tight and not hit your roof. Yes, the roof on the very top. You don't want to put holes in your roof. So if you use a smaller piece of wood here, didn't use 8s, and you use like a 2x4, this would go right through the roof. So if that is the case, you would have to put a spacer, a piece of wood under this. You take a piece of wood, you cut a double wide groove in it, and now you hold that piece of wood and push that up against it. And what that does is it allows you to move your saw blade down, so it's not going to be as deep. So in my case, I use 2x8s, so I have plenty of space. I got to look at my electrical. Not saying it's live, but I got to look at it to make sure it's not going to hurt anything. So move that out of the way. No electrical in place, nothing there. And I just take, it's not a speed game. Don't push it on all the way. Want to go almost to the end, not completely cut, because that's going to get a little bit of support when you cut this side. This side you cut all the way, then cut the other side. Point is, yeah, I could go back and break off that little bit I didn't cut. Problem is, if it is a strong piece of wood, it could actually cut all the way down and ruin my scene. So now I'm closer to where I need to be. This will now move to this side and hang the light over here. This beam. If I was to put this up here, look at the level of this. It is completely warped. From the end to the middle is almost 3/4 of an inch. So it's going to be very tricky to get it up here. But the only way you do it is put it in little by little. Put it in the end. Because wood is not cheap. I'm going to save this for the next project. It's not going to be as serious. I'm just going to stick it up. Because that will be so much easier. But it's actually a little longer. Now I'm getting into where I'm butting up. Let's make a couple adjustments. Remember from an earlier video I told you I bought this whole setup for recording band and games at a marching band at football games. So this particular tripod is a fluid head that wants to go back to where it came from once you set it. So if I don't tighten it up, it will move. That's probably why you saw it moving oozy, I would say. So cut 2 grooves. And cut out a triangle. That gives you a spot to go into the first groove. And that way you're not stressing anything out. So you know the lights go this way because I left them the way they need to be. That's the way they need to be. I see I can actually rotate them, so I can actually make them go in different directions. That might be a future change I make. Right now, I want to make sure my little lights fit. There's one side. There's my other side. And lights are in. So they are fitting like they're supposed to. They're not going to fit perfect because you are dealing with wood that's bent. So if I want to put a spacer under this, I could to bring that piece of wood down so it would fit straight. I'll take my little wedges and put under here. And I'll actually wedge the floor out a little bit to grip the ceiling. Now they fit straighter. Now this last piece I'm going to do a little differently. I'm going to put a nail in the piece next to it. Then I'm going to do the last 2 nails, actually be 4 nails, all at once. So it gives me leeway to bend this a little bit. I'm going to put this in here like this. And find out I still have to cut the end off, which I knew already. This is going to be a tight fit in the corner. Not an impossible fit, just a tight fit. So we'll start that edge. Work our way over all the way to here. Which is allowing us to do because I didn't put those staples in the last piece. A piece of metal there for my end support, so I'm hitting that. Now I put my 4 all the way through. So there's a little bit of discussion with myself if I'm going to put a solid piece all the way down this edge, or if I'm going to run a piece this way and then run 2 pieces down this edge. Fact is, this is 16, I only have 12s. So if I do 12s, there's going to be a seam in the middle. If I put a piece in the middle and I cut 2 7 and somethings on either side, there's not going to be a seam in the middle, and it's going to look more like it belongs to be there. Always want it to look like it belongs to be there. So that's why I'm going to cut one big piece for across the middle. So we're going to center that on our center post as if it was a belonging thing. And we're going to run it right up to the edge here. That's centered on our center post. And we'll run it right up to here. I'll bring it right here. I gotta change to the bigger nails so I can hold it all the way through. I think I put them over here. Well, many of them, just a couple. Let's put the bigger nails in. And since it won't work with that little few, we'll put smaller nails after that. There we go. I got our center support. Now we cut a piece to run this way. Which I am pretty sure that is too short to get that from. Two ways to measure things. First way is to use a tape measure, a yardstick, something with measurements on it. The second way, when I bought this house, I put a desk in the living room and I took and put a box of 100 just regular pencils. They're the most useless thing to have. They're everywhere in the house. But I have a desk that has 100 of them there. So now we're going to put that beam on that end first. The way we're going to do that is we're not going to use a tape measure. We're going to use a pencil. Using a pencil means you hold up the beam to exactly where you want it to be. And then you mark your line. Why am I doing it this way? You don't remember, this was not put in completely straight. So if you have something that's not completely straight and you want to draw a line that's going to match up to something else, you now have a blueprint, so say, of where the line has to be cut by holding it up. Is it straight? Is it crooked? Is it on an angle? That's irrelevant. You now have an exact pattern of where it's going to match up. And that's what you want. It's a little crooked. The little bit of crookedness it is, you're not going to notice when you're looking at it. But if you put it straight, you will notice. So that's why I'm using the pattern technique for cutting these. So now when I put this up, if I did right, gotta move a little bit of junk. Because I want it to fit straight. If I did right, make sure you use the same pattern. Remember, it's not straight. So you have to make sure you put the same size side on the same side you actually cut. If I put this up like this, and I put this against here, that should match up just perfect to there. And it appears that it does. So that's my goal. Of course, I can't reach my stapler. couple staples in, nails in. And come over here and push it right into place. Nice tight fit, just like I wanted. Now I just staple it in. Because of the board being on top of another board, in order to get to the beam, I had to get the large staples. There's one finished beam. Point A. Point B. Same. Perfect fit. When you're not perfect, this should be over by me. That was it. Put one nail at that end, come back here, and put our nails at this end. We know where our beams are because we have nails in the other piece. Okay, I got nail crazy. And there we go. There's our edge. There's our ceiling we did. There's our beams. And there's the lights. That one right there is the barbecue light. That's why it's out farther than the rest of them. Ceiling complete. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please like this video if it's helped you at all doing anything, or helped you not to do something. The goal of this is one purpose: showing you how I do it. Is it the way it should be done? Maybe, maybe not. No comment. But it works, it functions, and the job gets done. One person doing the job, sometimes things have to be done differently than normal. Sometimes we just do them and get them done. Sometimes plans change in the middle and we do things differently. But overall, the job is completed and we're done and happy. So fix some things, build some things, but always enjoy doing it. Till next video.